Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Wednesday, midweek Wednesday, and it is a cold, miserable, wet, windy day. Great day to be down in the shop where it's nice and toasty down here. Just a couple weeks ago, we were complaining about the heat, right? But that's how quick it changes, and we got a ton of things to get to today. It's going to be a great show. Sit back, relax, let's get right into it. Okay, first up, if you're just tuning in from last week, we got this beautiful Simplex Jack that seems to be frozen. So what we've been doing is we have it inverted, turned it upside down, filled it up with 50-50 up to there's a little drain hole, filled it up to there until it was leaking out. But we left it there overnight. It actually penetrated through the threads and the 50-50 leaked out of the threads, which is a good sign. However, it is still absolutely frozen. I was doing prying it with my bench vise. I almost ripped the vise off of the top of the bench, and also I was lifting the bench off of the foundation that I have it on. So it is it is solid. Now I'm waiting to heat is my last option, and I'll tell you why. I've been reading again. The best thing to do whenever you have a problem like this is read through YouTube where other guys have had this issue before. Now, this is a cast steel, from what I understand, and you got to be very careful about heating this up to like a cherry red, which you would normally do to loosen something like that, because from what I understand, it weakens this part. Now, this is a jack that's made for so many tons, and you don't want to mess up the temper or the casting process. I'm sure a lot of you guys know a lot more than this than I do. So, there's certain things you have to be. So heat is my last option. Look how nice that spins, huh? Can you see that? So it's loosening up, but it's only been, 2 days. So I'm going to continue soaking with the 50-50, keep trying, and any thoughts are appreciated in the comments of what you think, because this is what it's all about. Next up, I told you my neighbor passed away and they're cleaning out a house. And I saw these thrown out in front of the house. And I said, I just wanted to talk about these real quick. An item that most of you watching have grown up with, but the future generations will have no idea what this is. These were so commonplace in everybody's household. And they're going to be they've already done away with them in New York City, but I don't know if you're in a rural community, they still might have them, but let me know in the comments if they're still happening. But every year, all the residents here in my area would be given 2 telephone books, one yellow pages, one white pages. Yellow pages were for businesses, white pages were for residents. Now, the phone book goes way back, and it's amazing because in the phone book, now they combine them, but they used to be this size, just for my county, one white page and one yellow page were both this thick. The white pages were, like I said, they were individual numbers for people. And it's a funny thing, if you wanted to stay out of the yellow or white pages, if you didn't want your name listed, you had to pay to have your number unlisted. So you had to pay not to be in this book for privacy. Isn't that something? But now they combined them. You got half white and half yellow. This is, again, they did away with these a while ago. This was from 2012. So already this is 10 years old. And that's why I thought it'd be funny, because a lot of you, especially younger guys, you'll never see these before. And I always was fascinated by phone books. Always, ever since I was a kid. And I'll tell you why I was fascinated. First of all, I was fascinated with the thickness of the paper. This paper is among the thinnest paper you'll find, yet you can't see through it. So, I mean, they had to have, I'm sure they adjusted it, and I'll give you an example. Here's a regular piece of pad paper from my buddy Dave at Ingles Coat Shop, and you can see here, if I measure this here, we're at about 4.5 thousandths thickness, okay? 4.5 thousandths of an inch. Here's traditional copy paper. If you were doing for your print or whatever, we'll measure this one here. This one comes in at about a little over 3.5 thousandths, right, of an inch. And now, check this out. We're going to measure this here. And phone books are used traditionally a lot by knife makers. And you can see here, we have about 200 thousandths of an inch. 200 thousandths, super thin. Knife makers use them to show how sharp their knives are, because if you could cut this, you know, it's hard to cut without, you know, bending it or tearing. So, but I was always fascinated not only by the thin paper, but just how it was. And especially years ago when we were younger, if you needed to get a business and you didn't know somebody, you would look in the yellow pages. Now, the beauty about the yellow pages was they had advertisements. You know, they would pay. So this would be considered like, you know, this, depending on the ad space, and some of you guys might be in advertising out there and laughing, but you would sell this by the size. So this would be like a quarter page or a 5/8 of a page, or and a big difference. If you just wanted one line here, that might cost you like $50, you know, a year or something like that. But if you wanted a whole page, that might cost you a few $1,000s for a page, you know. But that's also how you got business. When you looked in the yellow pages, this sold you. This was advertisement in your face. You look at this, you go, wow, look at this, you know. And again, this is before the internet. Now you look at it and say it's kind of antiquated. But all these advertisements sold you on what you were going to look for, what you were buying. You know, if you're going to look for a fence and you see, you know, this advertisement sells it. Another thing that was funny that the people they used to do years ago is when they were listing something in a phone book. Now here I just picked out some pages. What they would do, and I always thought this was funny, they would, like, let's say you want to put your business in, you would name your business with an A, okay? Because A's come first in the phone book. And many times people would say, just pick the first person in the phone book. And so a lot of you would see, like here under contractors, we got A, A1, AA, AAG. You know, they would add a lot. Some of them would have 4 or 5 A's before, just to be the first one in the book. Here over here, you can see, I'll show you in plumbing. You got the same thing. Here we have plumbing. And you see it says plumbing. You have A1, AA again. But meanwhile, if you go to Z, no, obviously you wouldn't want to, if you were going to have a business, you wouldn't want to name it with a Z to it because you'd be the last person in the phone book. But see, we have one, Zone Plumbing. But everybody else tried to get that first spot in the listings. Isn't that something? So, and as kids, you know, we would go through the phone book and make, you know, phone calls to just pick up random people. Or if you were looking for somebody, you know, you would look over here and you'd look for their address. You remember, you know, phone books was something. They used to be even in pay phones and stuff. But this will be something that probably in another 10 years, because right now there's hardly anybody that has regular landline service. Most everybody has, the majority of people now use their cell phones and they got rid of their landline. But, you know, let me know if you still have a phone book around the house, or do you remember using it? Okay, next up, if you've ever tuned into my channel before, you know I'm a huge fan of these Seymour Smith SnapCut number 119 clippers. These are anvil clippers. They're absolutely fantastic, especially for the work I do around here, cleaning up, things like that. I picked up a pair last week at the show. I didn't show it because I knew I was going to do it today. I paid $5, which is kind of a lot for a pair of cutters. You can get a whole, you know, can get them usually in the dollar box, but these are so good. They're such a good quality cutter. And you can see here, we got a little bit of sap and buildup on there. We're going to take that off using the soft wire brush that I just want to clean these up and show you how great these are. And again, a lot of this is sap instead of rust, but there is some rust on there. We'll just take it with the soft wipe. These always clean up nice. Let's get right to it. There we go, a quick cleanup. Remember, these are my grandmother's, and I didn't go nuts with these because they're going to be thrown in the drawer next to my grandmother's, but you can see what we did here. We just cleaned it up, got all the rust and gunk off, which you know you really should do once a year or so. Spray it down with some WD-40 or something, wipe it down, and keep all that sap off because it does work much better. If you're going to lubricate these, there's one spot here where the spring rests against the ball down there. See that? And you just put a drop of any kind of lubricant in that little spot right there, and it lubes it up. So this is smooth as can be. I brought some This is from outside. In fact, it was, look at that. It's kind of miserable out there. But this is here, typically what you'd be cutting with this here. And I want to show you something here. Now, I want you to take a look at that cut. That is just a beautiful cut on there. You see that? And again, cuts like butter. See that? All the way up and down the cutters. Just a joy to use. I can't tell you how many times, how many things I cut with these, just taking it off. And again, you know, I didn't even touch the edge. You really don't want to mess with the edge too much. If you don't, as long as it cuts, that's fine. You start taking this edge down, they have replacement kits. You could buy the blade, but anyway, there we go. This one in the can. Seymour Smith SnapCut number 119. If you ever see these at a flea market, pick them up. Next up, this is a pair of dividers, they're called. And I was up in the attic the other day and I found these. Usually use this type of leatherworking and stuff. I threw these in a box because I bought these very cheap because the tips, you see, somebody messed these tips up. I don't know how they did it, or maybe they did it for a certain, I don't know why. These have to be sharp because, you know, you need to, for a multitude of reasons, but for some reason these were dulled out or whatever, or broken off. I'm going to clean this up and put new tips on here, you know, sharpen it down from the outside in at an angle. You can see where the original grind was. See that? That's the original grind. So let's clean these up. You know what works really good on these is the fiber wheel. Now, to tune up or fix a pair of dividers if they're broken, usually maybe one snaps off. You got to even off the two legs. That's the first thing you do, even them off. I'm using the belt sander here. Make sure you got water because you're going to be dipping it. You don't want these to get overheated. So you're going to first go across the top, make these level, and then you're going to go in from this angle here and come into a point. You just tighten this up here so that they're together like that. Very easy. Okay, here we go. Back in service. You can see what we did here. Look at the tips. See that? I'm going to bring them back right together. Look at that. See how they look when they're together? They should look like that. And you see what we did here. We just, again, very easy, quick cleanup on these. And these I use all the time. I'm not going over the top. They get thrown into the drawer. But to preserve them, the Starrett makes a tool and instrument oil, which is nothing more than mineral oil. So the good thing about mineral oil is you don't have to worry about getting on your hands. It's non-toxic. You rub it on here, especially the threads over here like this, and then you wipe it off, okay? Once you just do this a couple times in the hinge here and up and down the tool, rub it in. It's nice to do barehanded because, you know, you don't have to worry about the chemicals. But feed this through here, and these things come in so handy so many times. You see me use them all the time. Wipe it down, wipe it off with paper towel, put it in your drawer. Another one saved from the bin. Okay, next up, a sneak peek for Friday's episode. We have these beautiful Klein, but these are Klein bell system pliers. So I gotta maintain all the instinct on here, and we're gonna do these for Friday. But I'm going to put in a Vaporust to try and give me a head start just from here down. The handles we don't have to worry about because we bought a nice pair of Klein coats. So we'll put them on. It's going to be nice Friday. Next up, remember I got this at for $1 at the show. And I have to tell you, Auger bits, some of them are just absolutely beautiful in craftsmanship. And this is one of them. First of all, look how long it is. It's got to be almost 18 inches long, maybe 20. It's in good shape. The tip just needs a little bit of cleaning up here, but it looks good. I've always been fascinated with these. Just the production. How did they make this thing? Do they cast it? I mean, how is it made? I don't even know. It's just beautiful. And these things were not cheap. You know, guys took care of their tools back in the day because they weren't cheap. This could cost a day's salary back then. Today we don't use it because we have much more powerful drills and we have different kind of bits that'll power through. So this really... although some electricians do use a bit similar to this, but you can see here this has the shank for the old braces, which really wouldn't be used today. But Let's clean this up, do a little tribute to this real quick. I just love this. I think it's so beautiful. It's straight. Look at that. It's straight. It's just beautiful. I'm calling this project done. I ask you, as tool people, was this not the best dollar I ever spent? I mean, can you not appreciate this beautiful work of art here? And I'll show you something that even throws it over the top in a minute. And it does work. As you can see here, I ran it through a piece of wood just to check it out. It, you know, it does need some sharpening. Now, if you ever want to see, I know there's one guy out there who appreciates this, my buddy Dave, old Sneelock's Workshop. And if you ever want to see how to sharpen these, Dave has a bunch of good tutorials on how to sharpen these. But they're pretty straightforward. And like I said, if you're an electrician, you still use one of these, let us know in the comments. How beautiful. Look at the casting on the inside. I left all the inside black, but I took off the outside finish just because it looks so cool. And let me show you what really makes this go over the top. Now I ask you, is that the ultimate wall hanger? Look at that. That just looks like something out of Buck Rogers, doesn't it? With that big long bit in here, with that hand drill. I got it set up for high torque operation. Look at that. That just is beautiful, isn't it? I'll tell you one thing. If I was a dentist, I'd hang this on the wall, just to give people a little bit of nervousness before they come in. How cool is that? So in closing, that was a fun episode today. How we got into a lot of stuff. Hope to see you again on Friday. We'll start working on those Kleins. Hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you then. Take care now. Bye-bye.